Hello again, everyone. This is Howard Cosell speaking of sports.
You are listening to the Cheap Seats.
Who are these guys?
On Twitter at TCS Willis MSP Detterman, Spreaker and iHeartRadio.
Here is Steve and Steve.
Oh my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Ah, boy, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. XERS Radio. You are tuned in to the Cheap Seats. I'm your host, Steve Willis. Show's brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill, also Scooby Subs, and man, oh man, what a week. Alongside me, no Steve Detterman tonight, Josh Briggs stepping into the box, and hopefully he can knock him out of the park better than the Chicago Cubs did this past weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully I can be like Daniel Murphy and knock it out like that, but what a week, man. You know, we're talking big, we're talking high of this team, but you know what? I will lead it straight off, folks, by saying they have nothing to be ashamed of at all. At all.
Yeah, if you're a Cubs fan, you got to be happy with the way things went down. I mean, you really do. I mean, yeah, you're going to be disappointed that they didn't make it to the World Series. And, you know, I mean, if you're a Cubs fan and you're not the least bit patient, you have no business being a Cubs fan.
Definitely not.
Because that just kind of, it's par for the course. But look, they weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs this year. This year was the building year. This year was the year that Theo went and got the manager. He went and got the pitching. This is the year that everybody just kind of started to congeal and the team just kind of took shape. And who knew they were going to catch fire? Remember, they got in via a wild card because they beat the team with the second best record in baseball. And then they turned around and beat the dreaded Cardinals and the best record in baseball. And they made it to the National League Championship Series. That, to me, is that is something that you have to be proud of if you're the Chicago Cubs right now. You need to be really proud of where you have gotten in a year that everybody said you're going to finish fourth behind the Cincinnati Reds and you're going to be about a year or two, a few pieces, maybe a starter away. I mean, you have three solid starters in John Lester, in Jake Arrieta, and in Jason Hamill. You have three solid starters. You have an entire murderer's row of talent behind the plate, or at the plate, I should say. You have plenty of talent. Nobody expected the Cubs to hit as good as what they could. You know, everybody thought, well, it's going to be a manufacturer runs team and they're not going to have a lot of power. It's a lot of young kids. Man, these kids have pop out of their bat at any time.
Definitely, and they're all under 24, so
right.
It's like
one of the youngest teams ever assembled in Chicago, and they were a powerhouse. They led the leagues in walks. They led the leagues in strikeouts as well, but they're aggressive, and not to mention the fact you have a very solid bullpen, a great setup man, and an excellent closer. I mean, this team and the farm system that's behind it is so deep right now. You have nothing but blue skies ahead.
Definitely, and it's just like, the other day I was thinking about this, and just with all the free agents that are going to be on the market over the offseason, they're going to be wanting to, they're going to look at the Cubs as a very attractive market, especially with how they wrapped up this season. And, like what you said, with them being depicted as a fourth-place team behind a team like the Reds, who didn't even do anything. They gave away their two best pitchers in Volquez and Cueto. That's why I call exceeding expectations. And people just need to think, hey, if they say next year really is the year, what's going to happen? I mean, they're going to get free agents to come over there. And, you and I, we discussed this off the air that, Ricketts, and Epstein, they're going to be very wise. They're no slouches. I mean, what Epstein did with the Red Sox back in 2003 and 2004, 2003, it was very similar. They got ousted by the Yankees, but look what happened in 2004. They ended an 86-year curse and won the World Series. So,
right.
I think that this team could be very well a reincarnation of the Red Sox. I mean, they have the pitching, they have the hitting. It's just they're just 1 year away.
Well, the mark of a Theo Epstein team when they're ready for that championship run is they go out and get the manager, they go out and get the pitching. And I said this last year during the offseason when they were going after Lester and they were starting to groom these young pitchers. I had said the same thing. Look, if they're going after pitching, they're ready to make their run. They're ready to start pressing the envelope. And they did. They did. They got into the playoffs and they made it as far as what they probably should have made it. I mean, they were playing with house money. Now, nobody expected the Mets to come out and just completely shut the entire club down, which is pretty much what they did.
Yeah, and Daniel Murphy with his home runs.
Oh, my goodness.
Six games in a row he had a home run. Now, I never heard of Daniel Murphy before this week. Nobody did. It's just like, who is this guy?
Right.
And then with the pitching, like Syndergaard, and with, we made the comparison a long time ago, Detterman and I did, to the Braves starting rotation in the 90s. It's just a younger version. Their effectiveness, their accuracy.
They're very, yes.
And they're very, very.
They're very aggressive, too. They like to throw strikes. And they like to force you to put the ball in play in areas where their defense can back them up.
And we even said their pitching got it done.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, when you take a team that in the previous series in 4 games were capable of hitting 15 home runs, and you've completely shut that down. They couldn't hit, 5 home runs for the entire series.
Yeah, they were pretty sparse.
You have totally shut them down. But same amount of games, a third of the home runs, and a quarter of the scoring.
But now we kind of wonder, did they peak at the right time or did they peak at the wrong time?
As far as the Mets?
Yeah, I kind of want to say they're peaking at the right time.
Yeah. I mean,
they have to be.
They're riding into the World Series now with all the confidence in the world. They just took out the Cubs, who was supposedly the team of destiny this year, and they get to lay back and hope that the Blue Jays and the Royals slug it out.
And look at what the quality of manager they got in Terry Collins. I mean, he's been around the block a few times. I mean, back in the Jim Edmonds days of the Anaheim Angels, he had them as a relevant team, just perennial contenders. And then now he gets sent to the Mets, and, now look at what he's doing. He has them right on the cusp of doing something really big. So, Terry Collins, he's got a lot of experience. Definitely.
And when you say New York and postseason, I mean,
they go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, but how seldom do you think of the Mets? When you say New York and postseason, you automatically think, okay, well, yeah, the Yankees.
It's got to be the Yankees.
Yeah, Yankees are in the AL. Nope.
First time since the year 2000 in the Subway Series that the Mets are going to be in it. So
when was the last time the Mets were in the playoffs and the Yankees didn't make it?
Oh God, probably
I can't remember a single time.
Maybe,
so it was
maybe
obviously
86.
before I was.
I don't know.
Do you think it was that soon?
Oh yeah, I mean,
really?
Yanks Red Sox World Series, 1986. That has to be the best possibility.
I mean, Mets Red Sox.
Oh yeah. I mean, Mets Red Sox, 1986. That has to be it.
That might be. Yeah, I can't think of.
I mean, who can forget Bill Buckner?
Well, yeah, but the Yankees weren't in the playoffs.
I don't think they were.
I don't know. We'll have to look that one up.
Have to be the stat guy here.
Yeah, there you go, stat boy. That's your job.
Just call me Tony Reale.
Yeah, stat boy.
But man, oh man.
Yeah, but you're a lot more tolerable than Reale.
Yeah, but it's just it's unreal to think that the Cubs, they got this far, and it still blew my mind to see how many people on social media still were trashing and moaning and groaning. It's just
I don't know
really...
if it. Yeah, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if it's too unreal to think that they've gotten this far. I mean, we're only about 12 to 14 years removed from them being a viable World Series contender, with the exception of a game and a half. So, I mean, we're not talking about a Cubs team that just, they haven't even sniffed the playoffs in 25, 35 years. I mean, it's a team that has made it into the playoffs. They've just exited out. I could see them going. I wasn't horribly shocked that they made it. I was a little surprised they kind of laid down for the Mets, but yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, like I had said going into the playoffs, they were playing with house money anyway. Mm-hmm. But now, speaking of baseball, I kind of want to go into another story that just came up. I found this interesting. The Dodgers and Don Mattingly parting ways this week.
I saw that.
I thought that was interesting, just because of the fact that the Dodgers were doing so well, and Mattingly had that team playing so well, and all of a sudden they just decide to part ways.
I don't get that.
Yeah, it really surprised me. It almost kind of felt like a mutual breakup of a couple of friends. Like have you ever had that couple that just came over and it seemed like everything was cool? Every time they came over, it was like, oh yeah, everything's cool. They don't fight, they don't argue, you never hear about problems. And then next thing you know, yeah, you see your buddy and it's like, hey dude, hey, so how's your girlfriend? Oh yeah, we split up.
And it's just
really?
Like, huh?
And he's not even mad. And it's not even like it went down dirty. It was just like, yeah, we decided to see other people.
Yeah, and that's
and that's kind of the way this went down. And it's like it just kind of leaves you scratching your head. Like, really?
Yeah, I mean, they could have done so much more, but I kind of wonder if maybe their pitching might be splitting up, and then everybody else. I wonder if maybe they're going to clean house. I don't know. I mean,
but why?
But Greinke's a free agent, though, isn't he?
So
I don't know. Who knows?
You sign him. I mean, it's not.
Or he might just go to the Cubs. You never know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's a possibility.
Well, Zach Greinke, come on over. We got room in the rotation.
But like what you said,
you can be a number 4.
But like what the point is, yeah. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, Mattingly, I thought he was doing a good job too. So
yeah, I mean, the Dodgers clinched their division early. They were far and away one of the best teams in the West. They were such a dangerous team too to play, and just all of a sudden, they split out of the divisional series, and Mattingly's gone. It made no sense to me. I was really surprised when I heard that. And I was like,
wonder where a good landing spot for him would be.
Yeah, that's another question. Does he go somewhere else right away? Does he take a year off? I mean, he pretty much cashes out his equity there. So it's not like he's going to be hurting for coin like he would be in the first place. But where does he go? Does he take a year off and maybe go to like MLB Network or something like that?
Do some TV time or something, and just
or does he go right back in? Does he go right back into managing? Which is another good question. Not really sure which way he's going to go. I can tell you this though: wherever he goes, he's going to build a hell of a team.
Because he's very gifted and he knows what he's doing.
Excellent baseball mind. The dude is such an excellent baseball mind. Why LA would let him walk away is beyond me. I don't know, surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, it's just, maybe they got something up their sleeves. I mean, Derek Jeter.
I can't possibly see what. No, you're not going to convince me that Jeter is. Look, of all the positions that make a good manager, catcher is the best. Mm-hmm. I don't really know if I'm like a middle infielder, like a shortstop or a third baseman or something, if they would make a very good manager. I guess they probably wouldn't make a bad manager. They just wouldn't have a lot of experience.
And you know what,
in calling the game. I mean, generally the most experienced infielder, they can kind of do their own thing, but you usually have the catcher calling all the shots defensively, and they're the ones that really kind of know a lot of the statistical stuff, and because they study batters and they really know pitchers really well and stuff like that. So you can kind of see that particular position just kind of engineers itself towards being a manager. But I don't know if a middle infielder, it'd be like an outfielder being a good manager. They're so far away from the game in the outfield, and even in the infield, you're kind of far away from a lot of the brain part of the game.
But also, who could be a popular choice to replace Don Mattingly? SI.com reports most likely Bruce Bochy is the leading candidate right now.
I can see Bochy doing it.
I mean, shoot, look.
I mean, what's he doing right now?
San Francisco. I mean, 3 World Series rings, 2010, 2012, 2014. He just builds, something, and he turns it into.
I can see Bruce Bochy.
He makes them relevant, but it's just we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But Bruce Bochy is definitely the leading candidate right now. But it's just what I still don't get is why players like Jock Peterson, why there was such a big amount of hype about him at the All-Star break, and then he just fizzled out. I don't get it. And then,
it's a funny thing about baseball that about halfway through the season you start firing up, you start catching a hot streak, and you could be hot all year, or it could last like a month, and then you're ice cold the rest of the time. I mean, baseball is so weird. I think it's because it is such a long season,
and people
there
get
are so
streaky.
many games. And because if you think about it, think about this: baseball, 162 games. You can get streaky, fall off, and get streaky again. You've got that many games. You've got that much time.
It's a very bipolar sport. I mean,
the NBA is kind of the same way. 81 games. You have time to get on a hot streak or get on a cold streak. You can't do that in football.
Nope, it's either you go to put up or shut up.
Yeah, all of a sudden you get into like the NFL or even college football for that matter.
Definitely.
If you start the year hot, you're hot. And you're pretty much going to stay that way.
But if you start out
you start off flat.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're struggling to. I mean, if it takes you 4 or 5 games to get going, hell, half your season is almost over.
And of course, like in college football, it takes 6 to get bowl eligible, and some teams it's just a struggle every year to get 6.
Right.
If you get 6, you're lucky you had a good season, but. Like in baseball and basketball, like look at what the Heat did. What was it? When they won 27 in a row?
Yeah,
they won
last year.
Yeah, they won 27 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Sixers they lost their first 29. I remember not too far away, but
yeah,
it's just
and then you have teams like what was it, the 92 Bulls that they lost 9 games the entire season.
Yeah, they won 72 games.
Yeah. They were on a hot streak the whole year.
But yeah, it's just like you can be streaky, and you can be on a hot streak. You can have a hitting streak. I mean, look at Joe D. 56 in a row.
Right.
But and that's why baseball is so captivating, because it's like that novel. You pick it up, you read it, you want to know what's going on. Every single page, every single chapter, every month is like a chapter, and look at what the Cubs did. Right after the trading deadline, that novel got to be really, really good.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to put it down.
Put a couple extra chapters on the end of it.
Yeah, and like at the beginning, it was just like, oh, okay, sure, they're gonna be relevant, maybe, sure, I don't know, and then. Halfway through the book, it's like, holy crap, who's this Schwarber guy that just got introduced? But I can't wait to see what happens in the offseason, and I just think that they're going to be really wise at what they do. So
you're a NASCAR guy. So let me ask you this. We just talked about, a couple other sports, hot and cold streaks. Does NASCAR is a long season. It starts in February. It doesn't end until November. You have plenty of time to get streaky, right?
Definitely. And one streak that comes to mind is Tony Stewart back in 2011. He was coming into the playoffs. He was winless, and he said, we're just going to be wasting space. We shouldn't be here. And what happens in the chase? He wins 5 out of the 10 races, and resulting in a tiebreaker with Carl Edwards that got him the championship. And look at Kyle Busch this summer. He won 4 in a row just to make himself chase eligible. And, Detterman and I were going back and forth. We're like, he ain't going to be. Nope, yep, he is. And what happens? He wins the Brickyard 400 for his 4th win in a row, thus making him chase eligible. But, it's a very streaky sport as well. It's either you're on or you're not. And, you have the chances to get on, but if you can't capitalize, then, you might as well just stick a fork in you.
Well, I can tell you this, we're streaky. This show is streaky. And we've been on a cold streak for like 2 years.
Yeah, but you know what though? We're always bound for surprises, aren't we?
Yeah, right. Well, that's hey, when you got me around.
Yep.
Yeah, you never know. Even when I take a whole month or 3 months off or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then, me and Burlage, some of the stuff that we did, it's like, oh, okay, all right, cool.
Speaking of which, Todd Burlage is going to join us a little bit later. Notre Dame on their bye week, but that doesn't matter. We got Mr. Todd coming up later on in the show. He's going to be bringing us some of the latest in college football. We do have to get to a break. When we come back, got a couple of things going on in the NFL. I do want to touch on this Louisville story, though, and what's going down there. Rick Pitino could be in a lot of trouble
again.
And it's just getting started, and it's definitely at the wrong time for that team and for that university. And we're going to explain that here in just a little bit. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on XCRS Radio.
You're listening to XCRS Radio, bringing you classic rock live from Pleasant Valley.
Hey, Linda here, host of MDG's All Access Pass. Do you like to rock? I know you do. How about some metal bands? Great! I have exactly what you're looking for. James Rowe from MDG Music Discussion Group and myself have teamed up to bring you local, regional, and national bands, news, reviews, and of course, shenanigans. Join us every Monday night, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, for MDG's All Access Pass. Only on the X. XCRSradio.com.
Hey guys, it's the bartender for Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Football season is upon us, and there's no better place to catch the game than Rock Sports Bar and Grill. Along with the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats to all the games on our big screens, Rock's has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose. It's 2 half-pound patties served with bacon, cheddar cheese, piled high with french fries. Make sure you got your cardiologist on speed dial for this one. Find us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great for your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered in between game days too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match wits with your buddies for great prizes. And during football season, tailgate Thursdays featuring dollar dogs, tacos, and fries. And every weekend, Rock features great acoustic music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill, located in the Yorktown Center Building in downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Life is meant to be savored. If you find the reason, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana will make it special. From the casual European atmosphere to the high-end tavern fare, Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern give you the chance to savor every day. Stop in and savor your day with your choice of a wide variety of drinks, from a classic martini to the best beers from local breweries. Savor your day on the patio, or come in and enjoy a glass of wine with some of our mouth-watering entrees. We're located in the historic Cam Brewery Stable Building in the 100 Center in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Call 574-807-0101 for reservations. Like us on Facebook to find out today's food and drink specials, or stop by our website at morgansandlbd.com. Drink in the moments, feast on the memories, savor every day at Morgan's and the Little Black Dog Tavern.
But he's a legend.
Right. The Cheap Seats on XERS Radio, brought to you by Rock Sports Bar and Grill. We are in the Rock Studio, by the way, and we are going to get you ready for the weekend. And here's how we're going to do it. If you happen to be in the area, you want to head on out to the Phoenix Grill. Top Secret is playing tonight, and Trouble Walking Saturday. I'm going to tell you right now, I usually have trouble walking on Saturday.
Uh-oh.
It's usually because I enjoy a little Top Secret Friday night.
To the wind.
3, is that all?
Did I say 3?
Yeah.
Did I say 30?
Yeah, probably 30.
Dirty 30.
Yeah. Cheers Pub's got Smarty Pants and RevFest 2015 on Saturday. 5-Star Dive Bar Friday, Ultra Fab, and Saturday is the Smash King. So go check that out. And by the way, Saturday night, if you're interested, I know I am. Always a good time. City Limits Lounge.
Yes, I've been there.
Have DJ Will Travel. They will be out there Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Do some singing, baby. Get your karaoke on. You can head out there. So, we got a whole lot of information and really don't know anything right now about this whole Rick Pitino, Louisville players. I don't know if you want to call this sex parties or whatever they are, but man, we got just oodles of information in this tell-all book that this young lady's putting out here. The name escapes me, and I'm trying to pull it up, and I apologize for whatever reason. My laptop has decided it's just not going to turn on for a minute. So essentially what's going on, to just kind of give you the cliff notes on this, is a former stripper / prostitute just put out a tell-all book.
It was Katina Powell.
Katina Powell, there we go. Thank you. She just put out a tell-all book that more or less indicts just about the entire Louisville basketball team. And you know, over the course of about 4 or 5 years, players, recruits, coaches, the only name not mentioned, oddly enough, in the book is Rick Pitino. Now, obviously, this book has drawn the attention of the NCAA. It's drawn the attention of just about every media outlet in the region, even in national media. And Pitino's been asked, he's been interviewed, and he says he had no idea any of this stuff was going on. And obviously the official, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. So the NCAA, though, doing this investigation, it kind of, as soon as I heard this, the first thing I thought was, man, if it comes down, especially the amount of players and the amount of coaches that have been brought into this, even one coach would be enough brought into this.
But several.
If any of this is true, you have to think that Pitino knew something. And if he didn't know anything, really didn't know anything, you got to wonder who's in charge.
I mean, of course he's going to plead the fifth. I mean, you have to. But
But you got to wonder who's in charge there if that's the case. I mean, now you start talking about lack of institutional control.
Supposedly, the center of it all is Andre McGee, former Louisville assistant.
He was the coach at I want to
UMKC.
University of Kansas City at Missouri, and he just stepped down from that position over this. So that tells you a lot about the gravity of what's going on.
And supposedly he paid Katina Powell and other girls $10,000 to perform, and let's see, 5 former Louisville recruits and players. They also admitted to it, and of course, Pitino, he said he's pleading the fifth. And also for the ACC Media Day that's coming up, he was advised not to go on behalf of his legal counsel. I mean, of course he's not going to go because that's all it's going to be the center of attention. So,
nobody's going to ask him a question about what you think their chances are this year in the ACC.
Exactly. It's going to be like, what are your distractions? What, they're going to ask what's going on.
And the very first thing they're going to ask.
But,
what did you know?
Pitino is no stranger to controversy. He actually did have rape charges against him a couple years ago. And, he was cleared of all wrongdoing because it was inconclusive evidence. But he is no stranger to it. And, I just think that if this is all true and facts come up conclusive, this is gonna.
If any of this shows up as true, if this comes out that Pitino knew about any of it, he's done. I think this would finally
basketball.
I think this would finally be the straw that breaks the back there, because he is really, if anybody has been Mr. Teflon, it's been Rick Pitino at Louisville. There's so many rumors have swirled about what's gone on down there, and the underhanded recruiting, deck deal, the stuff that's been going on down there, and he has just nothing has stuck to him. I think this could stick to him. I really do. And if that's the case, he's gone. He has to be.
Definitely. I mean, it's going to just really – he's going to lose all of his credibility, all of his trust. So –
well, not just that, but if you look at – let's put it this way. And I hate to bring this up because it's, apples and oranges as far as the subject matter, but it's still relevant because it's part of the idea of institutional control. And that's the Jerry Sandusky situation at Penn State.
Great example.
Joe Paterno knew what was going on, at least by all accounts. And instead of stopping what was going on, squashing it,
he covered it up.
He covered it up and pushed Sandusky out of the football portion of the program. Allowed him to stay on campus, but pushed him out of football. If Pitino knew what was going on, whether he tried to cover it up or whether he just tried to make it go away, the fact is if he knew what was going on and he did not immediately bring it to light to the NCAA, to the athletic department, and tried to, to stop it altogether, he's no less guilty than anybody who participated, and he would have to go. But once again, we are talking about the most Teflon coach in all of the NCAA. Nothing sticks to this guy. So you have to ask, even if he was guilty, even if he's found guilty, what would Louisville do? Would this be enough for Louisville to get rid of him?
They would have to fire him, because if they keep him around, what good is that going to do for the university? I mean, people aren't going to want to go there, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, what have you.
Or will they? Pitino's still getting recruits after everything else that's gone on. And he doesn't have any problem getting recruits.
Yeah, and it's just, I think we could be looking at possibly another version of Penn State. I mean,
I don't know if they'd go that far. I mean, the NCAA might.
Yeah, but
I don't think Louisville will do much.
With the lack of control, there's got to be accountability. And I said this before a long time ago about Penn State with the whole Sandusky situation.
Right.
There has to be accountability, and there was none. Of course, Sandusky, he's out, he's in prison, and now shortly thereafter, everything got taken care of. Paterno passed away. So it's just, now it's just been kind of swept under the rug. But I think this one's going to be harder to sweep under the rug. I mean, the truth is going to come out little by little in the coming weeks, I'm sure. But
the NCAA obviously has to do their investigation, which who knows how long that's going to take.
And I'd like to see what McGee has to say when and if he comes forward, because that's basically what's going to have to happen. It's what needs to happen.
Obviously, he walked away from his job, and now he gave up his position, because of this. Let's call it what it is. He gave it up because of this. Now the question is, does he come forward? Does he assist in the investigation, or does he take a vow of silence? Does he not talk about it? What? That's going to be one of the questions. I think when all of this is said and done, I think the college basketball season will have passed, and I'll be interested to see how far Louisville gets, because if they get to a championship game this year, we might be talking about a Louisville team that wins a national title and has to vacate it.
Yeah, it could be pretty well.
I'm getting way ahead of myself.
Yeah, I mean, because we haven't even started. Well, we just got through Midnight Madness. So.
Yeah, so we don't even know where Louisville's going to be when March rolls around. But if they're in the hunt, this is obviously going to come back up later. And that will certainly be a question that, if Louisville's in the hunt, if they make it to the Sweet 16, especially if they start making it to the Elite Eight,
they're going to be
Final
out for
Four,
blood.
You're also going to be hearing a lot about this story. So I think the pressure will be on at that point, certainly. But I think just going into this season, Louisville's going to have this kind of hanging over their head. Almost like, hey, it doesn't matter what we do. This is still all going to be, our entire season is going to be contingent upon what the NCAA
2010 to 2014.
Yeah. So this is fairly recent too.
Yeah, and it was ongoing, but it just finally surfaced. But, it's going to remain to be seen. I mean, I know, like what you say, the season will play out, but maybe they might just tank and just go under the rug. That could possibly happen too. You never know.
I doubt that. Louisville usually fields a pretty talented team, and they're going to be fairly strong in the ACC. Hey, by the way, good news. Everybody can relax. Laptop is back up.
Yay! Woohoo! I can put my cell phone down. But it's I can't wait to see what goes on in this season, because Calipari and even John Calipari, him and Pitino, they go way back, obviously, and I know apparently he had reached out to Pitino too, and he's even saying to kind of lay low a little bit, but
if Calipari's telling you to lay low,
you better listen.
Yeah, you might want to listen, because he's normally not the type to do that, and he's usually not going to advise that. So that's funny.
But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens, and we'll keep you up to date on here too, as well as something breaks. But right now, it's just that's kind of all I know. But
yeah, obviously this is still hot and fresh. We don't really have much of anything on it, just the breaking part of it. So about the only other thing I saw, and I wanted to bring this up, did you see in other basketball news, did you see the new men's head coach of the Olympic team?
No. Who would that be?
Well, all right.
It's not.
I'm gonna let you think about it just for a second. Don't look it up. Don't put
Don't
your
cheat.
phone down. No cheating, cheater. No cheating.
I'm worse than Detterman. All
Now,
right, let's see.
Think about this.
Okay.
Think about this. Men's team, 2016. Who's coaching the team now?
It was Coach K, Mike
Right.
Krzyzewski.
Still Coach K. All right, through 2016. Now, after 2016's over, obviously 2020 is the next Olympics.
Okay.
You want to coach similar to Coach K. I'll give you one hint.
Okay.
One hint.
Okay.
Currently an NBA coach. Currently an NBA coach.
Oh, gosh. Oh, jeez.
Similar to Coach K, garners a lot of respect, especially from veteran players.
Would it be Pop?
Yeah, Greg Popovich.
Oh, man.
So he's going to be the
That'd be
coach
good.
of the Olympic team. I like that. I really
do,
do.
too.
I like that.
He commands respect.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that, and I think we learned. We learned from the failure of the what was it, the 2000 I want to say 2000.
It was like 2004.
2004 men's basketball team, the bronze
Yeah, they
medal
just
team.
kind of went.
Yeah, and I think we learned from that, and we've learned that we've got to have strong leadership.
You have
on
to
the
in
team,
any
and-
sport, and look at what the Spurs have done under Popovich.
And Popovich is definitely, out of all the current college and professional coaches,
It's a very decorated resume, in my opinion.
he is the 5-star
I mean,
general.
what, six NBA championships, and they were the team of the 2000s.
Countless
in my opinion.
playoffs, excellent teams, great. I mean, just a fantastic basketball mind. Can play the game or can coach the game at any level on any continent. Under any rules, could coach the game
And
without
let me ask
any
you this.
struggle whatsoever.
This has also popped up. Do you think Kobe will call it quits after the Olympics?
God, he needs to.
I'm thinking he will.
He needs to.
Him and Duncan both.
He's like 3 years too late. You know what he is? He is what Peyton Manning is right now.
Or even Favre.
Well,
But at least,
what
but at
Favre
least
did.
Kobe
what Favre
stuck
did
with
too.
it. But, they have nothing else to prove. Nothing.
No, they don't. And Peyton Manning is the same way. Kobe Bryant, Peyton Manning. There was Joe Montana was like that. You always have that one superstar that tries to hold on. And Michael Jordan was the same way. They just didn't know when enough was enough. They had to start getting schooled by their better talent, the better, younger, stronger.
And look at
the
what
new
happened to
generation
Favre.
Talent.
I mean, Favre, he is the
Last professional passes. in
2009.
interception. So fitting.
His first year with the Vikings, who could forget? He had a career season that year. He about took the Vikings to the Super Bowl, and then what happens the next year? He just goes out and gets hurt. He should have called it quits after 2009, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Go out while you're on top. But, some of these players, they have the itch, but they don't know when to quit scratching. I mean, they have to get the calamine poured all over them, in my opinion. But, I'm thinking that after Rio, that Duncan and Kobe Bryant will be done. I'm putting it right out on the limb right now. So
I think Tim Duncan he's probably one of the few players that's smart enough to know when to get out.
Oh, he does.
I honestly thought that Kobe, after the Achilles injury, should have been his red flag. That should have been that should have been enough for him to say, hey, you know what? The soul is willing, but the body is weak.
And he hasn't even done the Lakers a justice. I mean, look at they only won 19 games last season.
Well, he's really for how much you're paying him, he's holding them down.
Exactly.
They
when
can't
you can
go out and spend
younger.
any money. because they've got to pay this monster contract to Kobe Bryant.
And speaking of contracts,
for him to sit on the bench.
Speaking of contracts, did you see Tristan Thompson?
How in the hell are the Cavaliers paying all these guys?
It's just they got money, and
I mean, what are they riding the luxury tax?
They must be or something.
God.
But Tristan Thompson, that's a huge piece to their puzzle, and he was with them for the championship run last year.
You think he was worth it? What did they end up signing him for?
It was like 5 years, and I think it was like $40 million.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
because it worked out to right around $8 million a year. So, yeah, is he worth $8 million a year?
I think so. He's a valuable asset to have behind a LeBron, behind a Kevin Love, and even Kyrie Irving too, for that matter, because
Well, I agree he's an asset, but is he an $8 million a year asset?
Probably not that much.
I think they way overpaid.
I'd say probably more like 5-6 a year, maybe.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I'd put him at about $4 to $5 million a year. Really, I really think Tristan Thompson walked out of that conference room slapping his agent on the back, saying, "Man, you got it for me. Yeah, you showed me the money." Yeah, I don't think Thompson is worth $8 million a year. I really don't. But at the same time, if he can get Cleveland over the hump and help get them an NBA title, he's worth $8 million a year easy.
And of course, no doubt they're gonna be back. I think that they can be the favorites to win the East again.
Think LeBron makes it to 7 straight NBA Finals?
I think so. I'd have to give it to him.
I mean, really, in the East, who's standing in their way?
I mean, the Bulls, but you just can't tell because Derrick Rose.
You don't know what Derrick Rose is going to do.
No.
Derrick Rose is a complete enigma. You have no idea what he's going to do.
But you know what, too?
Did you see him in that mask, by the way? The orbital bone mask. Oh my God. You want to talk about the most uncomfortable looking thing?
Yeah, I mean,
you see
especially
some
if
of these
sweat's dripping down your face and you can't even wipe it. And it's getting your
not
eyes.
even that, but I mean, just the mask itself. My God, he looked like some weird Quasimodo looking thing.
But one team that worries me has to be the Golden State Warriors. They had, in my opinion, ever since Steve Kerr took his leave of absence, they have a target on their back now. I mean, of course they are, but Curry. I think he's kind of being
Yeah, but the West is a lot tougher than the East.
Yeah, and the
West is a lot tougher. I'm just thinking about the East. I'm thinking about LeBron and the Cavs getting back to the NBA Finals. I don't think there's anybody in the East that could stand in their way.
I mean, Chicago's going to give them they're going to give them some fits. Maybe Indiana.
I doubt it. Indiana's got to figure out their own house. They got to figure out their own locker room.
But, and then even with the Knicks, with Carmelo, he's it seems kind of like a dysfunctionality in there. I
am not going to believe in the Knicks until I see them start winning games.
Even the Hawks, I think they looked into that last year. You even said it as well. I mean,
Atlanta was
who
playing
on
with
their
house
team,
money the whole
and
second
they
half
won
of the year.
66 games.
Yeah,
who would have thought that?
From the All-Star break forward, they were playing with house money, and they were the guy at the crap table in Vegas that could not stop rolling sevens.
Yeah,
seriously, you can't explain it. You have, no explanation for it. You have no formula. There's,
it just
you couldn't look at that team and go, oh yeah, well they're winning because of this guy or they're winning because of that guy. No, you could not do that with the Hawks.
They just showed up.
Yeah, you
stepped on the floor and bam.
Yeah, you look at that team 1 through 5, the entire starting lineup, and go,
say who?
They're winning 70 games.
How did that happen?
Yeah, how?
But I wouldn't put the Cavaliers, I wouldn't give them the Eastern Conference crown yet, but I think they're looking pretty good.
Absolutely.
But, it's just with the whole Derrick Rose thing, you can't tell. I mean, the Bulls got a good supporting cast with them. They brought back Taj Gibson. Didn't they bring back Butler as well? And Noah.
Jimmy Butler's back. Joakim's back.
So, they got the supporting cast that they had last year. Freddie Hoiberg, I'm excited to see what he can do for them.
Yeah, but I still think, I don't know. I think the Bulls are handcuffed with Rose.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
he's like
maybe I'm not the first to say it, but I'm going to be one of the first to really, pine for him being gone.
Well, let's just put it out there.
Somebody else. I mean, Jimmy Butler took over for Derrick Rose last year and didn't miss a beat.
Oh, he shined all the way to the
offensively.
playoffs.
Offensively, he is, in my opinion, right now just as good as Derrick Rose.
And look at the Miami Heat too. Dwayne Wade actually came out and he called out LeBron James and he said, "All right, Cleveland, we're coming for you."
Yeah, but he doesn't have anything. Are you serious?
Dwayne Wade, he's past his prime. He had his run.
Miami doesn't have anything.
No,
for
definitely not.
Yeah,
I mean they'll make it as an 8 seed if they're lucky.
I doubt they'll make it as an 8 seed. That's Chris Bosh's team. That's Chris Bosh's team, and if Chris Bosh is your number one guy,
then you're the shell of the former team that you once were.
If he's your number one guy, you're the Toronto Raptors all over again.
And
that's exactly what you are. And guess what the Raptors were? Garbage.
They were horrible.
They were a 10 win team is what they were. So yeah, that's if your number one is Chris Bosh, that's the best you got. Sorry, that's not good enough.
No, definitely not.
It's not going to do it. Not in the same conference where LeBron James is sitting there in Cleveland with Kyrie, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, all that talent, and Dan Gilbert's money.
And they basically
they're ready.
They're set.
Yeah, they're ready. I mean, Gilbert has bought himself a team.
So
he has bought himself a team. I think the Cavaliers are ready to steamroll. I mean, literally steamroll. I think this year, I honestly think this is the first year I can say I think the Bulls' win record is in jeopardy.
I think so. And, who can forget after last year in the finals? I mean, I think that they're going to be ready to knock their competition right in the mouth. I'd say, they'll break the record by 2 or 3. 3 if they're lucky. I'd say more like 2. They'll get 73-74. But, with the competition,
I'm not gonna hand them the NBA title.
But I just say
no matter what they do, they've still got to run into the West. And in the West, you still have Golden State. You still got OKC.
San Antonio.
You still got the Spurs. Although the Spurs are another year older. So that's another year on Tim Duncan.
And in Memphis, for that matter, Memphis is still pretty relevant too. So.
Absolutely. Well, Memphis is up and coming. But yeah, as far as the Spurs go, I think it's over. I think it's over.
They'll still be perennial contenders.
I mean,
for another year? I think.
Do you really?
Oh yeah,
really?
Oh, I think so.
I don't know if I buy that, man.
I mean, get past the first round, of course, but after that,
I mean, think about this though. I mean, the guys on the they're not just the oldest guys on their team. They're like all of them are like the oldest guys in the NBA.
Yeah, like Parker. And Duncan, Ginobili.
I mean, that's their big 3.
Yeah, but
and if you add their ages up, it's like almost 100 years.
But I'll give them
maybe more.
I'll get them out of the first round. That'd probably be as far as they go because, like what we had said, there's going to be other teams that get like the Golden States.
Well, the West has too much talent.
They do. They're loaded.
I really like OKC coming in into this season just
is
because
Durant going to be okay though.
Well, I think the reason why I like him is because KD's coming back, and because if you think about it, Durant missed so much of last season. I mean, so much of the last season they had to move on without him, and they did fairly well.
And they even fired their head coach Scott Brooks.
That's okay. That's okay. That what? No. Scott Brooks was holding that team back.
Yeah, so we'll see.
No, he was.
But no,
there was way too much damn talent on that team for them to miss the playoffs even without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I mean,
that was Russell Westbrook's team almost that entire season, and he put that team on his back, damn near carried them to
2012. The NBA Finals.
Yeah,
I mean, who could forget that?
And damn near carried him to a finals again. Was on a hot streak and only threw a few bad beats at the end of the season where they probably really could have used Kevin Durant's talent.
And then even the Mavericks, you can never even rule out the Mavericks either. In my opinion, you can never rule them out. And then the Clippers.
Is Dirk Nowitzki coming back again?
Yes. And then even the Clippers too.
They're going to have to put an exception rule in Nowitzki. It's going to be like the Nowitzki rule where they allow him to use a wheelchair.
You know who
that dude has no more legs.
You know who could be who could be a big threat against dethroning the Warriors? I think the Clippers. You'd have to kind of look at the Clippers. I mean, a Doc Rivers team.
Yeah, but dude, Blake Griffin is overrated.
Yeah, but he still got
overrated.
CP.
Way overrated.
CP is a hell of a shooter.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, but Chris Paul's not going to do it on his own.
No, you got to have your supporting cast.
And Rivers' kid's not going to do it.
And, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah,
his name.
Jordan's not going to do it on his own.
So it's got to be all together. But
yeah, they've got to be able to work together. And I do have some faith that Doc Rivers will be able to put it together. I just don't. If the offense flows through Blake Griffin, I don't think they go anywhere.
Nah,
because he's not. I mean, he's too spotty.
He's
way too
streaky
spotty
injury wise, even like Derrick Rose. Because I remember all the times that.
But even when
got
he's
hurt,
healthy, he's streaky on the floor.
Yeah, he just likes to take it out on the rim, doesn't he? But.
He does, but great. What does that do? That's
it's just
great.
a show.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But it's going to be interesting to see how the NBA season how we go along. But you heard it from us, guys. It's Cleveland. I think that they have to be riding on a high going into this year, and the NBA season.
Preseason's wrapping up actually tonight.
The 27th.
Yep.
So
they're going to take a few days off and then come back the 27th and get ready to run.
Yeah, we'll have more of that for you guys here too, because that's gonna take out baseball, and that's gonna break Mr. Detterman's heart.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? He's got hockey though.
Yeah, he's got the hockey, and then of course when NASCAR goes away, I'm just going to be the roving reporter.
Yes.
But
our senior correspondent.
That's right. And you know what, too? We got to remember, we got the initial college football playoff rankings. I believe they come out next week.
Yep.
So that's going to be kind of the new thing for the winter. And we got so much to look forward to.
Yeah, it's always busy.
So, but busy. Opening night will be.
And by the way, the NFL is still going on.
Oh, it's just heating up.
We're almost to the halfway point in the NFL season, week 7.
So we got a lot of that. We got a lot of that to cover too, and the Bengals. And then you guys said the Panthers were going to lose, and what happened?
I knew. I was waiting for that.
Oh, you are so welcome.
You know what? Wait! Stop the show! Stop the show! It took almost an hour for you to rub that in my face.
Oh, we got tons of other stuff to cover, baby.
How in the hell did you wait an hour? I couldn't have done that.
It was seriously. Right
if I was Junior walking in here and I sat down and I knew I was right,
he probably would have looked at you like, "Oh, you're welcome."
Both of the bosses on the other side were wrong, and I was right. Oh my God, dude! I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it up the steps. I'd have been running up the steps like Rocky.
Yeah, you would have
both fists in the air, like
you would have pulled a Bubba Watson on him and be like, "You're welcome." But man, oh gosh, I can't wait. But yeah, the Panthers.
How good do they look?
Amazingly good.
I mean, man.
But we're gonna have to pay some bills, aren't we?
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah, it's about time to do that. And when we come back, we got some NFL we got to go over, and Josh and his Fast Four. We are going to
Talladega.
Yes, sir, Talladega, and we are going to discuss seedings, eliminations in the playoffs, and of course the ever dreaded or ever waited for, if you're a fan, the big one.
Yeah, the
That's
big
gonna be-
one. And,
that's
and
all
we're
gonna be
not
coming
just
up.
talking about a Scooby Subs big one either. So, but we had to put out that plug right there. But
Ring the shameless plug bell.
But while we get our bills ready to go, this is going to be the question that I have for you. So you're ready for the NBA season. Hit us up on the Cheap Seats page. If you haven't liked us on Facebook, get on that. Like us at the Cheap Seats with Steve and Steve. And I want to know, how do you rate the Cleveland Cavaliers this season? Will they go all the way and take the crown? Will they be just another perennial playoff contender?
Actually, hey, can I throw this? I want to rephrase that question.
All right.
I want to rephrase that question. Here's actually the way I want to go with that. What NBA team are you looking to see make a big move this year? Because I think we all agree that the Cavaliers are kind of the team to beat in the East. I mean, which is a very watered down East. But what team? Maybe they didn't do so great last year. Are you expecting to just kind of jump in and be that team that everybody's just like, oh my God, where'd they come from? There's always that one team in the NBA. There's always that one team.
Even the Warriors last year, I didn't suspect that.
and the year before that was the Wizards. I mean, there's always that one team. Charlotte last year was a team that everybody was like, wow, where'd they come from?
And now they got Kaminsky. He's going to be the anchor right there.
There's always that one team that you go, wow, where'd they come from? So hit us up on the Facebook page or on Twitter if that's easier. My handle is at TCS Willis.
And I'm at JBriggsy _14. So let us know. What do you think?
Hit us up. What team this year in the NBA are you looking at like, oh my God, this is the team that everybody's not expecting to do anything, but they're going to...
Where do you go when you're looking for great food, a cold drink, and some of the best local live music? I go to the Phoenix, located on the corner of Lincoln Way and Main Street in historic downtown Mishawaka. Thursday nights, it's open jam with $2 well drinks. Friday and Saturdays, there's always live music with no cover charge. Great food, cheap drinks, excellent service. The place to be is the Phoenix.
Option 5, located in Mishawaka, Indiana, specializes in hand-built boutique guitar effects pedals. Option 5 has been producing the highest quality pedals right here in northern Indiana since 2002, and they continue to create original, non-copy designs today. Option 5 is not simply tweaking popular pedals and then slapping their name on them. They're producing groundbreaking effects designed for guitarists of all styles. And Option 5 doesn't just build cool pedals. They provide top-notch repair service as well. Option 5 repairs pedals and PA equipment, can modify and retube amplifiers, and service or repair Hammond organs and Leslie speakers. If you're looking for the highest quality effects pedals and the best in repair and customer service, check out Option 5 in Mishawaka at 1126 East Jefferson. Give them a call at 574-255-6539 or online at option5effects.com. That's option5effects.com. Option 5. Let tone abound.
Hi, I'm John Brasser from Team Consulting, Inc. At Team Consulting, we can help your business navigate the maze of governmental regulations that can be overwhelming for any business. We offer over 60 years of experience in environmental engineering, safety consultation, and ISO 9001 quality solutions. We're located right here in Michiana. Give us a call at 574-229-0927. Tell them you heard it on XERS Radio.
You're listening to XCRS Radio, bringing you classic rock live from Pleasant Valley.
Talladega, boys raced the whiskey in gold glass. Here's to turning up, or slowing down, in cars that go real fast.
And we're back. The Cheap Seats, XERS Radio. Little Eric Church on the lead in there. Going to Talladega. That was, what was that, country?
Yeah, 2004 actually just
Oh,
came
really?
out this spring.
I don't listen to country. It's an unusual thing for me.
But riding in the car thinking about how I was gonna, build my segment for Fast Forward today, I was like,
Right.
that would be perfect.
Hang on, let me run a little bit of this. So this is country music, huh?
Yes, Eric Church. It's a very, very appropriate. So this actually came out the week of the Spring Talladega race.
Really? Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not really a country music guy. I mean, it just, I never have been.
And then you got me, who's just very versatile in my music taste. But, like what we led into, we're going to Talladega this weekend for the last race in the contender round. It's the Camping World 500 this weekend on Sunday at 2:30. It's on NBCSN. So for you cable subscribers out there, go and hit it up. Hopefully everybody's got their antacid this weekend, because there's only one driver that is guaranteed a spot right now for the third round, the Elite Eight, the Eliminator round, and that would be Joey Logano after his win last week at Kansas. Now, it was a very controversial finish to that. 4 laps to go going into the first turn. Matt Kenseth was in the lead, and then Joey Logano, he had a good beat on him going into turn number 1, and he got into him, and Kenseth ended up spinning. And there was a lot of finger pointing, like who did what to who, but frankly, Joey Logano just had the faster car, and with his win.
Who was your guy last week? I can't remember.
Last week it was Joey Logano.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you were on the money.
I was on it.
All right.
And but this week is a whole different animal, because Talladega, I mean, basically you put a car in and you make the field, you have a shot to win. So you could be, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, all those guys, or you could be Danica Patrick. If you're in, you can win.
Now, there's a lot of build-up to Talladega.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. What are the couple of key things here at Talladega that's going to separate everybody in this race? Not just in the chase, but I mean in the race itself. What are some of the key things that you're going to watch for to kind of separate the leaders from everybody else?
Well, it's just, there's going to be a lot of relying on teammates in this, because the draft is huge. You got guys like Jimmy Johnson who are out of the chase, but yet you got guys like Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. who are still in it. And I look for a lot of teammates to be going at it and just helping each other to the head of the line, or to be riding in the back to dodge the big one, the big wreck, which is very inevitable at places like this. And so we'll see a varying amount of agendas, but I think to put a period on what you asked, I think definitely using your head. Not making any stupid moves, because you put your car in a hole that's too small, and that's going to be the recipe for mayhem. And then also just relying on your teammates, helping each other, because that's what a teammate's for. That's what makes the draft work effectively. And also, another quick bulletin before we head into the race this weekend: there's only going to be one attempt at a green-white checker finish if the need may be. It was previously 3, but in light of Austin Dillon's horrible accident at Daytona, NASCAR's decided to go to one green-white checkered finish to eliminate the possibility of the big one. However, I think that it's the opposite of effect, because it's just going to add to the urgency. You're going to have less opportunity,
right.
And people are going to be. It's going to be a slugfest, and I think the recipe for mayhem just got even bigger, and so yeah. You got 11 guys who are currently unsafe right now going into the last race of this round on Sunday, and Oh, God. And there's only 7 more spots at stake. Shoot, you think there's not going to be a wreck? I think there's going to be a hell of a wreck.
All right, so let me do this for the non-NASCAR savvy out there, because I hear talk about this all the time. The big one and this being such a fast track and all this stuff. Why don't you just gloss over, really give us the cliff notes as to what is the big one and why does it happen at super speedways like this?
Well, ever since 1987, NASCAR, they mandated the use of a carburetor restrictor plate, which goes right over the fuel, where the fuel air mixture goes to the engine. And that was in light of a bad accident back in 1987, also when the cars were going over 210 miles an hour, and this was just to help slow the cars down. However, they created a monster. They slowed the cars down, sure, yeah, but now the cars just run in one big, ginormous pack all day long.
And the difference between this and doing that at, say, like a place like Dover or something like that?
With Dover, they run with no restrictor plates, so that's just, it just gets long and strung out like it used to be at Talladega. But ever since 87, when they put on the restrictor plates, it kind of... it slows them down, but it makes for great racing. Oh my gosh. I mean, 3 by 3 by 3 in a pack of 43 cars and just waiting for, it's like a chess match, it's just like move for move, an eye for an eye, and it's one, like I said, one wrong move, bam, that's it. 20 cars right there.
All right. So essentially, if I'm adding this up, essentially what you could take from that is the reason why you see a gigantic wreck at a place like Talladega or Daytona or something like that is because all of these cars are kind of jammed together in this sardine can formation, and all it takes is one driver to make a mistake.
Exactly.
And it causes that domino effect.
And it's like putting 43 balls on a roulette wheel, and you pick the one number, and and all the other ones just go to the wayside. That's basically what Talladega is. It's like a lottery. It's also kind of like a physics lesson too. So for those science geeks out there you go. But the draft can go right for you, but it can also go wrong for you. And as we saw back in July at Daytona, the big one was actually started by bump drafting gone wrong. You can use your inertia to push the car ahead of you to generate speed. However, if that car ahead of you is loose, that's it. I mean, Kevin Harvick, he was bump drafting Denny Hamlin to the start-finish line. He had no idea how unstable Hamlin's car was in the air, and wow. I just hope that doesn't happen again, because that was bad. I mean, it was almost like watching a horror film, just seeing that car fly to the fence like that. And whew.
So was that the worst wreck you ever saw at Talladega?
Actually, yeah, that was in Daytona. But I think probably the worst wreck I ever saw at Talladega, in my opinion, it wasn't I'd say probably Carl Edwards in 2009. It was a case of bump drafting gone wrong again. Him and Brad Keselowski, they were battling for the win. Keselowski was behind him. He was pushing him along. And then, of course, Keselowski tried to duck low to get around Carl Edwards. Edwards came down, blocked him, and then that sent Edwards in the air. And then Ryan Newman nailed Edwards right when he was in the air, and that just sent him catapulting into the catch fence. And
hate it when that happens.
Oh, God, especially in front of the crowd. Oh.
That sounds like a Tuesday in Chicago traffic.
It was, to me, it was almost kind of like the, oh, gosh, what movie was that? War of the Worlds or The Day After Tomorrow or something like that? Where the car actually, it just went in and that was it. But
wait, how'd that go again?
But,
I love your sound effects.
But, it's just like the
hand motions make for great radio, right? By the way. But you should have seen what he's doing here. It's majesty with his hands.
But, it's just the thing about Talladega and Daytona, they've come such a long way with safety. The catch fences. Of course, they have to build strong catch fences at these places because, with the debris that can be sprayed around and things like that with the cars. But, they've also done great work at trying to keep the cars on the ground. But, the laws of physics still can work against you. But
that law never gets broken.
Yeah, some people try to defy it, but they lose.
Physics is pretty much going to win all the time. It's been around for 14 billion years. It's not going to change.
But, you can never count out the big one not happening. However, I think it's going to be because with all the urgency and, 11 drivers trying to fight for 7 chase spots. And I think Joey Logano, he's going to be kind of the odd man out. They're going to hang him back out to dry. So
what happens after Talladega? What do we got left?
Well, we go on to the eliminator round after that, as what I call the Elite Eight. We'll go to the short paperclip at the Martinsville Speedway, and then we go to the Texas Motor Speedway after that. And then the last race of the Elite Eight will be at the Phoenix International Raceway, which they just announced. They have a sellout for that race. And then after that, we go to Homestead for the winner-take-all Final Four. So it's starting to wind down, my friend.
Yeah, coming down to the nitty-gritty.
But
so Homestead is it. Homestead's the final race.
Is it on November 22nd. So, the 23rd. But I just think that after Talladega, if you can get through Talladega, that's going to dictate pretty much who's going to get to the Final Four, because I think if you're guys like a Dale Earnhardt Jr., you gotta be chomping at the bit to get out there Sunday, because at a place where you won 6 times and you got such a great history there, and he's not even safe. He's 10th right now in the overall standings, so he basically needs to win. So it's do or die for Junior Nation. So
that brings us to the final question then of the segment. Who do you got this weekend?
Okay, well, a no-brainer. I have Dale Jr. winning this weekend.
Really?
It's the obvious choice because, with the do-or-die situation and you're given history here, of course you got to take Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win. And then also, I'm going to go with a non-chaser to spoil the party this weekend. Jamie McMurray with his 3 victories at Talladega in years past. So I think if we had to have a non-chaser spoil the party, which could very well happen, I think Jamie McMurray could do it. And then also for drivers that need to get on the stick and win as well, Kevin Harvick, the defending champion, he's not safe as well. And he's right now in the 5th position. And then I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth as well to put in the mix. And this was my championship pick, mind you. He's 12th right now out of 12. So, Matt Kenseth, after that,
he's almost on the outside looking.
It's either put up or shut up. So Dale Jr., I think he's going to be the guy. You have to go with Junior Nation this weekend, and if he wins, God, it's going to be one loud, raucous crowd. So.
Well, he was all over it last week, kids. So there we go, Dale Jr. for the win. So anyhow, before we hit to break, we got Todd Burlage coming up just on the other side of the break, by the way. Want to hit a little bit of NFL news. It's like I said, we're reaching about the midway point. The cream has pretty much officially risen to the top at this point. Still got a lot of undefeated teams out there, though.
Yes, we do.
Lots of undefeated teams. I think the big game this week, probably have to say the Jets and Patriots. Probably big game this week.
I think so.
I think there's a chance. I think the Patriots could go down this weekend.
You think?
Possibly. I don't think it's a very good chance.
But when you're hot,
I think
you're
there's
hot.
a chance. Well, here's why. Look, the Jets, they foster a very good defense. However, nobody expected Ryan Fitzpatrick to be this good. Obviously, Geno Smith was supposed to be the quarterback this year.
Sucker punch heard around the world.
Yeah, exactly. After he took that sucker punch and he is out for the season, you have Ryan Fitzpatrick who comes in, and honestly, if the Jets can win, 9, 10, 11 games, which remember the Jets are 4-1, they could do it. right now.
Very well.
They can win 9 or 10 games. If they won 9, 10, 11 games, boy, you really got to wonder about the future of Geno Smith in New York.
He might be getting ready to say hasta luego or see you later.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like what the Jets are doing out there. I think that's going to be a tough game.
I'm ready for that Eagles-Panthers game.
I think it's going to be a tough game. I know, man. You and them Panthers, though. Big believer.
I think that they are finally onto something. People are waiting for Cam Newton to stumble and this and that. I think he's finally come of age and he's got the people to do it.
Yeah.
But
he does have a good group around him.
But against the underachieving Eagles team, I mean,
the Eagles are such an enigma this year. I don't really know what to make of them because, man, 1 week they'll do nothing. Next week, DeMarco Murray runs for
he just goes off.
Yeah, 100,000 yards and Foles not Foles.
Nick Foles?
No, not Nick Foles. Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then the following week they won't get 40 yards on the ground collectively, and Bradford throws 2 picks and gets knocked out halfway through the game. So I mean, you don't know offensively what this team is going to do at all. And it amazes you. It perplexes you. It confounds you actually at times because you want to see that offense do good. There's so much potential in that Eagles offense.
Speaking of potential,
you want to see that come to fruition. It's crazy.
And then Tennessee too. Mariota finally got hurt.
He's done.
He sprained his MCL.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Forget it.
Nah,
if you're a Titans fan, hang it up.
but Mettenberger, he's going to step in against the Falcons, but I think
he's going to step in against the Falcons and they're going to get crushed.
But you might as well just stick a fork
They
in
are
him,
going to get crushed. They're not going to be able to stop the Falcons' running attack.
But
Matt Ryan is going to hit Julio Jones for like 3 touchdowns because his hammy's finally feeling better.
What do you think of the play that got Mariota hurt? Was it dirty?
I think it was dirty.
I mean,
I think it was dirty.
Wisenhunt was. He was livid.
He was pissed.
He was livid.
He was hot, dude.
But even though they don't have the O line to protect Mariota, it's just
but still, you don't go after somebody's knees.
No.
I don't care if it's a new coach. Yeah, I don't care if it's a new coach and you're trying to impress the coach. And we play hard, we play tough. No, dude, you play dirty.
Yeah, that was a dick.
That
move.
was freaking dirty.
That was
serious.
But what did BS football? That's what Wisenhunt called it.
BS football is what. Yeah.
But it's just I think they just need to do themselves a favor, take the bad record, get a top draft pick next year, which they could be very well in the running for. So they're going to have to do something down there because it's getting ugly. So
just one last thing, we've got another game in London coming up this weekend, 9 a.m. on Sunday. The Bills and the Jags.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of
from Wembley Stadium. It's really funny though because Blake Bortles is actually not playing bad this year. Fantasy wise, he's one of the best fantasy quarterbacks out there. But
it's just a case of underachieving.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the Jaguars.
Same with the Bills too. I mean, the Bills, I don't think they're really living up to expectations this year either. And
yeah, but it's Rex Ryan, so
yeah, he's kind of a joke. But you know what? Saints Colts. That could be an entertaining game.
I can't get excited for that game.
And then Steelers Chiefs. I'm surprised I didn't hear anything about the Chiefs versus the Steelers this weekend.
Why would I want to talk about that?
Why
would I want to talk about that?
And I don't know. I mean, that could be.
Dude, Kansas City is really they are killing me right now. They're underachieving so bad.
But
it's ridiculous.
But and they also think that once Roethlisberger gets back, the Steelers are going to be a playoff team. I don't know.
I like their chances.
I mean,
I don't know if I like their chances against the Bengals. No, I like their chances. Period.
But yeah, who knows? I mean, it's just it's just sad to think that the teams that we thought were going to contend or at least be relevant are not being relevant right now. So, but, if I were, Tennessee, I would just say, go after, try to go after the number 1 draft pick, because I think that they could get it. If they have like a 1-15 or a 2-14, I think they could be very well on their way to the number 1 pick again. But then, of course, the Titans fans, reading on their news feed on Facebook, oh my God. I don't
really see what you expect. What do you expect if you're the worst team in the NFL and you go out and you spend, you get your very first pick in the draft, you go out and you get Marcus Mariota, and then you come back and you expect to all of a sudden be a 10-6 or 11-5 team with Marcus Mariota? Sorry, guys, you didn't have that much talent to begin with.
I think the looks were very deceptive against Tampa Bay when they won 49-14.
Dude, it was Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the looks were very deceiving.
Come on. It was Tampa Bay.
Mariota, he put up monster numbers, but then after that, it was kind of like a crash back down to reality with the overtime loss to the Colts.
I am so sick, though, of the NFL fan that's, my team had the first pick in the draft, and they went out and got a rookie quarterback, and they were 1-15 the year prior, and now all of a sudden they should be a 12-4 team and leading the league and going to the playoffs and home field advantage and blah blah because of a rookie quarterback.
But
really,
you might have the rookie quarterback, but you also need to have the O-line to protect him.
And you also
that's
have
what they lacked.
You also have to have some kind of sense of reality. There's a reason why you didn't win but 1 or 2 games the year prior, because your team sucked.
Yeah.
It's because everybody sucked. It's not just the quarterback that sucked. It's not just the running back that sucked. Yeah, it's everybody sucked.
And they just have to face the reality.
You're not going to go out and get a rookie quarterback. I don't care who the hell it is. I don't care if it's Jameis Winston. I don't care if it's Marcus Mariota. I don't care if it's Andrew Luck. The only reason the Colts were able to be relevant with Luck right out of the gate is because they already had a good established team. They had a bad year because the best quarterback in the NFL got hurt.
Yeah, and then they got lucky and they went out and they got him.
That's why they had a bad year. That's why they had the worst year that year. They didn't just go from great quarterback to great quarterback, because of some grand design.
And teams nowadays, it's like a very cyclical pattern. You have your teams that perform for like 5 years and then they just kind of fall off and then they come back. Look at what happened.
I love that in the NFL though.
Yeah, like San Francisco.
Yeah, you can be the worst team, and then you can come back. If you are the worst team and you've got a lot of good parts, you can build that quickly. You can build it in 1 or 2 off seasons.
Like the Saints, they're really, really close, but it's just
but
not
they're on the
right.
They're on the decline.
I wouldn't.
They have been good for a while. Those first years with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, and when they had Reggie Bush and Marquise Colston, they looked really good. And then now they're starting to decline. The team that I think is coming up, they're looking better and better. Actually, surprisingly enough, I think Cleveland is looking better and better. They're starting to get it together. I have not seen the Browns make as many moves as what they have the last couple of years, and it's actually starting to pay off a little bit. And I'm not talking about Johnny Manziel. I'm just talking about in general. Anyhow, we got to get to a break. When we come back, Todd Burlage, going to talk a little college football. Notre Dame on the bye week, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. And we alluded to it earlier, the playoff rankings going to be coming out next week. Probably talk a little bit about that, too. You're listening to the Cheap Seats, XERS Radio.
It's Maximus and the bartender. Now, all of a sudden, after LeBron goes home, they couldn't wait, Big Daddy. Now, Kevin Durant going back to Washington, D.C.?
Wait a minute. Durant to D.C.? I don't see that happening. Ever. ever.
Marion Barry got reelected, remember.
Kevin Durant is not going to D.C. He's not going to. He's not being traded. He's not going to force a trade.
Remember,
he's happy in Oklahoma City with Westbrook.
D.C. where the cost of living is going up and the chance of living is going down.
Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern at XERSradio.com.
Have you heard those two wacky guys, Chris and Ginn, on the Life is Art Also show? They share their favorite songs and their future favorites, too. They have live interviews with authors, comedians, artists, and musicians, and lots more. They also have a Word of the Week with Mad Dog Ho, the official lexicographer of Internet Radio. Tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. on XERS.com.
Someone may have reached utopia. They figured out the best of both worlds, a 5-star dive bar. In fact, that is what it is and is its name. 5-star dive bar at 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, near Johnson Street. Serving at the 5-star full lunch and dinner menus. Get it all from appetizers to desserts. Special 5-star burgers, and Jake has great buns. The dive bar is also a 5-star place to go for nighttime entertainment and fun. Full bar service and the 5-star frozen Jaeger bomb. With live music 4 nights a week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, a karaoke DJ. That is the 5-star dive bar, 561 East Jackson Boulevard, Elkhart, Indiana, 574-294-7500. 5-star dive bar on Facebook.
Hey guys, it's the bartender for Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana. Football season is upon us, and there's no better place to catch the game than Rock Sports Bar and Grill. Along with the best collection of memorabilia from your favorite sports greats to all the games on our big screens, Rock's has you covered. Our menu features something for everyone. Amazing sandwiches and wraps, and the best burgers around, including the Rockstar Overdose. It's 2 half-pound patties served with bacon, cheddar cheese, piled high with french fries. Make sure you got your cardiologist on speed dial for this one. Find us on Facebook to check out our daily food and drink specials that are sure to be great for your gut and easy on your wallet. We've got you covered in between game days too. Wednesday night is trivia night where you can match with your buddies for great prizes. And during football season, tailgate Thursdays featuring dollar dogs, tacos, and fries. And every weekend, Rock features great acoustic music from some of Michiana's finest artists. Come see why there's no better place to get your fan fix than Rock Sports Bar and Grill, located in the Yorktown Center Building and downtown Mishawaka. For those who come to Rocks, we salute you.
Cheap Seats on XERS Radio. We are on the back end of the second hour. It's almost feels sometimes like we're walking down hole 12, and we're just kind of looking at the scorecard, going, God,
going over the Ben Hogan Bridge.
Yeah. So anyhow, if you missed any of the show, make sure you check it out on iHeartRadio. Obviously, go to iHeartRadio and then just search the Cheap Seats with Steve on iHeartRadio, part of the new line of talk radio on iHeartRadio. Take your radio with you all through the holidays. iHeartRadio, Clear Channel Media product. And on the line right now is the man, the myth, the legend, our own, very own Todd Burlage. Hey, Todd, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. What's going on, boys?
Well, you are the
You're
man.
it, bud.
You're going on. So I hear tell that the man who said Notre Dame has zero chance of getting into the college football playoff is starting to take a second look at that. And you were talking to me just a little bit before we went on about how you're looking at this back end of this Notre Dame schedule. Obviously, they're on the bye week this week, and then we got Wake Forest coming up next week. You're looking at the back end of the schedule, and you're seeing it in a little bit different light. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I will. I think it's still a long shot, but actually you would have Temple coming up.
That's
tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
But right there, that's a good launch point for what I'm going to get at. Temple, with a nice upset win last night at East Carolina, moved to 7-0, ranked number 22 in the country. And then they follow that up with a game at Pitt. Notre Dame does, 5-1 team, also ranked number 25. Wake Forest, BC, a couple 3-4 teams there, but BC certainly a solid opponent, and Wake probably doing better at 3-4 than people would have thought. And then obviously you wrap it up with Stanford at 5-1, number 10 team in the country. It's just funny when you looked at Texas and Georgia Tech and Clemson and Navy and USC, you really would have thought, man, Notre Dame better make a lot of hay in this portion of the schedule, because once you wind it down, there's just not a lot of oomph for them to get through and really build a solid resume. That's not turned out to be the case. As a matter of fact, it's totally been flip-flopped. Guys, Notre Dame's 6 wins this season have come against teams 14-22 combined record. That's not even a 40% winning clip.
Right.
Meanwhile, what they have left on the schedule, the 5 teams, Temple, Pitt, Wake Forest, BC, and Stanford, these teams are combined 23-10, which is a 70% winning clip. So while I still think so much has to happen in front of Notre Dame for them to get into playoff consideration, at least they have a chance if they run out, that I think their schedule carries enough clout and weight that certainly they have to be talked about if indeed they win out and a couple dominoes fall the way they need to fall. But it is interesting how we thought that this portion of the schedule that Notre Dame's already through was going to be the really tough part of it, and it hasn't turned out that way.
Now, if you think about the way the College Football Playoff Committee does their selection, their week-to-week selection, and how it doesn't even start until next week.
Yeah, November 3rd.
If you think about this, the way Notre Dame's schedule plays out to where the front half of their schedule wasn't as talented as what the back half of the schedule appears that it's going to be, you would think something like that, especially since, as humans, we like to think about the whatever's fresh in our mind. It seems almost as if it would work out to Notre Dame's advantage, really. Like if you were going to have a tougher part or a more stout part of your schedule, you would prefer for it to be on the back end while all the selection committee eyes are watching.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and clearly that's going to be the case. Down the stretch is better than if you're beating top tens in your first 3 games of the season. Yeah, I think as you go down the way here, and that's what's helped. There's always been a lot of debate, especially recently with this new playoff format, about Notre Dame. Does it hinder them by not playing a 13th game, having a chance not to play in a conference championship game? But given the way that Stanford's playing, number 10 in the country, playing as well as any team in the nation, frankly, having that as your season finale certainly will open a lot of eyes and call a lot of attention. I mean, what we do know is Notre Dame has to win out. That's a given. I mean, there's no groundbreaking news there. But, there's still things are going to have to happen, and they always do. You're going to have some unorthodox things kind of go down in some of these. If these sort of Power 5 conference teams that are undefeated just roll through and finish undefeated, they're going to get the nods ahead of a Notre Dame, one-loss Notre Dame team. There's no doubt about that. And people can gripe and complain all they want. Frankly, I think Notre Dame got a little bit of a raw deal when you lose by 2 points at Clemson, an undefeated team that's number 5 in the country now, in a monsoon. You lose by 2, and you drop as far as Notre Dame did. There are two one-loss teams ahead of Notre Dame. It is Stanford and Alabama. They can obviously take care of Stanford on a 1-to-1 basis. But I just felt like Notre Dame maybe got a raw deal. Now they're playing their way back in with some good wins here.
Right.
But again, a lot of things are going to happen. There's going to have to be some upsets because if Michigan State or Ohio State just rolls through, they're going to get in. If Clemson or Florida State just rolls through, they're going to get in. If Utah rolls through back in the Pac-12, they're going to get in, and of course TCU or Baylor likely will get in as well. So there's going to have to be some crazy stuff happen ahead of Notre Dame. But certainly you guys know as well as I do, it happens.
Yeah.
It certainly happens.
Inevitable.
So there's a few scenarios. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the SEC, but there's a few things that can fall into place and certainly give Notre Dame a chance. Although I wouldn't give it, I certainly wouldn't put a lot of money on it because I think the odds are still pretty long for the Irish to make it.
Well, one of the things that they did to kind of help their cause, obviously, last week, taking care of USC, that was it's a very good showing, actually, and no post-Navy lag this year from Notre Dame for sure. And they really did kind of open the offense back up. Obviously, they started a little slow, which is kind of what they did at the after the Georgia Tech game. They started a little bit slow in their game following that. Obviously, Navy being the same type of offense.
UMass, Clemson, Navy, USC. Yeah, we can go down the list.
Yeah, we went through that last week, and it just kind of came to fruition that was how it turned out. But Notre Dame recovered quickly, and they came back, and they really kind of powered their way through that game. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you saw in that game, some of the good and maybe a little bit of the bad, or just kind of give us your take on how that went down.
I think bad's kind of been what it's been. You have to obviously go to the defensive side of the football here when you talk about bad with Notre Dame, and it's interesting because it's been such a Jekyll and Hyde unit. I'll give you guys some interesting stuff here in a second, but the big plays remain a big concern for the Notre Dame defense. They've given up 20 plays this year of 20 yards or more already, with 11 of those being 30 yards or more. And USC, my word, they hit Notre Dame with a 37, a 72, a 32, a 75, an 83, a 65, a 28. So, yeah, they really lit them up on the big play scale. But what Notre Dame's defense has been able to do, which is pretty interesting, because they've really struggled in the first halves of games this year. But, guys, this is a team that is giving up 2.9 points per game in the third quarter, which is the best in all of FBS. It's the number one rank in the country. And they're only giving up 6.8 points in the entire second half of games this year, which I believe is number 3. I haven't checked it after last night's stuff. But they're top 5 in both of those equations. Meanwhile, they're getting kind of gashed in the first half. So it's funny because Brian Kelly keeps talking about, trying to put 4 quarters of defense together. Man, if they could get that down. I mean, think about this, guys. In the last 3 games, Clemson, Navy, USC, they've outscored those 3 teams 36-6 in the fourth quarter. USC scored on its first drive of the second half and then did absolutely nothing beyond that. And that was the same case for Clemson, and that was very much the same case for Navy. So this is a team that really finds it. I don't know what kind of adjustments Brian Van Gorder's making, the defensive coordinator at halftime, but they seem to be working for sure. It's amazing when you look at the numbers of, they're giving up almost 17 points a game in the first half, and then only 6.8 in the second half. And it's just kind of fascinating to me that there's such a big discrepancy. You really don't see that all that often. And I just think the talent is in place on this defense. They can pull it all together and start putting 4-quarter efforts, all throughout this game instead of just 1 and 2 quarters hit and miss. Offensively, DeShone Kizer just continues to get better with every single game and every single snap. Notre Dame's going to have a very real quarterback. I don't want to call it controversy. I'll call it competition in the next year. This guy is so poised, so amazing. We were all surprised and shocked by his poise when we finally had a chance to talk to him after he made his big plays and won the Virginia game. We noticed his poise right away, but now we're starting to notice that he just gets better in this offense with every game. This guy's up to number 16 in the country in passing efficiency. And that is saying something. I mean, that's ahead of Deshaun Watson from Clemson. He's a couple spots ahead of Golson at undefeated Florida State. For what it's worth, he's 32 spots ahead of Cardell Jones at Ohio State. So you look at the job Kaiser's done, and another thing I wouldn't mind mentioning is the balance of this offense has been splendid. This is a team that's averaging 498 yards, almost basically 499 yards a game in total offense, which is the 3rd highest mark in program history. If you go back to the modern era that started in 1949, that's the 3rd best mark. Well, 47% of that comes from rushing and 53% of that comes from passing, which is also one of the best when it comes to balanced offenses. It's one of the best in program history. And on top of that, let me just toss this one on there. the 38.3 scoring average is the best in program history, going back those 71 years as well.
Wow. Jeez. That is, and all of this on backup quarterback, backup running
backs, exactly.
You know,
it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, and their class tight end gone. You know, I mean, really, you've picked apart that offense. Some of the keyest pieces on a typical Notre Dame offense: the quarterback, the tight end, and the running back. Those are like the three key pieces to any Notre Dame offense. Right. You've picked them away, and the backups have just come in. And I think it speaks a lot to what Brian Kelly can do as far as building team depth. And you've kind of touted that all year, just looking at, you know, even the rotations on defense and the offensive line. There's so much depth in this team that I think it kind of helps play into how good they can still be even after missing the most key of pieces.
I think that Mike Sanford, the addition of Mike Sanford, the offensive coordinator, has really helped calm. Let me put it this way. Notre Dame and Brian Kelly, they would sort of panic if they got behind in games and whatnot as far as the play calling. Their first knee-jerk reaction every time they fell behind was to wing it around. Oh, my gosh, we're down 10, we're down 7. We've got to start throwing the ball. And I think Mike Sanford has come in here, and really, even though he's just a young guy, 33 years old, he's brought sort of a calming influence to the offensive play calling, the meeting rooms, everything. And I think now Notre Dame realizes, the coaching staff realizes, you know, we have to run the football to be successful. We can't, I talked about the balance earlier. When you look at last year, guys, it was darn near a 2/3 balance in favor of the passing offense. And you guys know as well as I do, that just doesn't work really in any level of pro football. It looks good on the yardage stats, but when you're throwing it around like that, you're just prone to more mistakes. Something's going to go wrong. I mean, look at USC. Look at this game. They had 2 fourth-quarter drives, one of 90 yards and one of 91 yards. That doesn't happen with a team that's throwing the ball 2/3 of the time. It doesn't. I mean, you might be able to hit a 90-yard pass play. I get all that.
Right.
But the balance and the control that Deshaun Kaiser has possessed, and I think the calming influence that Mike Sanford as an offensive coordinator has brought to this group, I honestly think it needs to be celebrated. I think that's a key cog in all of this. It's maybe getting a little bit under-celebrated is what Mike Sanford has done when it comes to play calling. And I'm not saying he's the primary play caller because, frankly, Brian Kelly doesn't really let us know who's calling plays.
Right.
But I think there's certainly an influence that he's bringing here that says, look, because when you look at the numbers, it's so interesting because when you go back to what Sanford did at Boise State last year, the yardage numbers and the balance numbers are almost identical to what you see at Notre Dame this year. And the scoring numbers, they are almost identical, and I find that pretty fascinating. They were averaging about 37 points a game, about 500 yards a game, and the balance figures were exactly the same. So I think obviously he has his thumbprint somewhat, if not very much so, on this Irish offense.
Now, you said just a little bit ago about the quarterback competition that could be coming up this fall. I almost, when I look at C.J. Prosise, and I think that, you know, this is their backup running back, you almost think that there may be time split next year between he and Torian Folson.
Yeah, that's assuming Prosise even comes back. I mean, he will have a decision to make.
That's true.
You know, he will have his degree. He is a redshirt senior. He'll be a redshirt senior. So
right.
he will have his degree. I actually tried to pin him down. I'm doing a story on him for the Wake Forest game program at Notre Dame. So I had a chance to chat with him for about a half hour this week. And, you know, certainly you're going to get that canned answer. Well, that's something we'll visit after the season.
Sure.
But I would be worried if I was Folston, frankly. I mean, how can you weren't going to get this out of Terry Folston. You just weren't. For one reason and one reason only. C.J. Prosise, he's a converted wide receiver, and so therefore you have that dual threat dynamic that Folston can bring it to a point, but he certainly can't bring it like Prosise does. That's why this guy's jumping up. Prosise is jumping up all over NFL draft boards. because of that dual threat. And I had a chance to talk to him. I was asking him about, how quickly he's learned and whatnot. And he insists, and he seemed very sincere to me, that he's just sort of scratching the surface as a running back, which just makes your jaw drop when you hear a guy say something like that. And you're just praying as a Notre Dame fan that, man, please come back, please come back. This guy's on pace to rush for 1,700 yards. The Notre Dame single-season rushing record is 1,400 yards by Vegas Ferguson. Now, granted, Ferguson did it in 11 games, where I have ProSites projected out to 13 games, including the bowl. But still, he'd be right on pace anyways, even through 11 games. So, pretty remarkable what he's done. Maybe the best surprise and story in college football this season, in my opinion.
All right, we're going to go back to the playoff subject just for a moment. Out of all the teams that line the way of Notre Dame, you say the odds might be small, but they can be done. In your opinion, who would be the biggest threat? You got the Stanford, who's going to be really tough to handle, but they, look at what they did against USC. But do you think maybe a Temple might be the threat, or what do you think?
Well, I've said all along. Actually, I always do a story for Blue and Gold Illustrated before the season starts, and I go game by game and I give my predictions. And I predicted Notre Dame to beat Clemson, which obviously didn't happen. I had Notre Dame suffering 2 losses. One of them to Stanford at the end of the season, because I think that's going to be a really tough challenge for them. This is a really good Cardinal team that I still, they got beat by Utah, which is, top, what are they?
Number 3
or 4 in the country. Yeah. So that's Stanford's one loss there. The other team that I thought would beat Notre Dame was Pittsburgh. And I said that because Verducci, their new head coach, he was the defensive coordinator at Michigan State. He has familiarity with Notre Dame, and I just thought they had tons of returning starters, and I just thought a very, very talented team coming back that was getting undersold. And here they are at 5-1 with one narrow loss, finally cracking the top 25 at 25. So, in my opinion, I worry about that Pitt game in the immediate, but if Notre Dame can get through that, I think they'll be fine with Temple. It'll be a struggle. It'll be a fight. I watched a lot of that Temple game last night. That is a very athletic and talented team. I just feel like since they're not a Power 5 conference team, that Notre Dame really should have too many horses, especially at home, to get bumped off in that game. But I've had Pitt circled all year, even before the season started, and I continue to have that one circled. If they can get through that one, then that's going to set up the Stanford matchup. But between now and Stanford, I certainly think Pittsburgh would be the one I would be worried about the most if I were Brian Kelly.
I definitely agree because, with all the history of Notre Dame versus Pitt, who can forget 2012? Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh! That was. They always give Notre Dame. They always give them fits every year.
Absolutely.
So definitely a good point. Definitely. But
and and you're talking about the 3 overtime win in 2012. In 2013, Pittsburgh made Notre Dame look unbelievably foolish. Probably one of the worst halves of football I've ever seen in 2013. When Pittsburgh totally did Notre Dame up. And Notre Dame was kind of humming along a little bit there, but they just got squashed at Pittsburgh. And again, that's a road game for Notre Dame, so that's not going to be any easy task there. That's the one I've had circled all year. It's kind of my sleeper upset game, and it's all of a sudden not looking like such a sleeper at this point.
Just can't rest on your laurels for that one for sure.
Right.
But,
no doubt about it. And you make a great point, Josh, that's always an ornery opponent. Always has been and always will be. And there's a long, long history between these two programs.
Yeah, even Navy. Navy always gives them fits, but man, just for Pittsburgh though, you just can't get away from any of them. And I tell you what though, I'll never live that 2012 game down at all because I know that was the difference maker between them losing and getting to the national championship game, plain and simple. Because if they had botched any of those plays in the overtimes against Pittsburgh, that would have been it. But, they found a way to get through. And I think it'll be a tough game, but I bet you they can find a way past them for sure.
Yeah, they seem poised. The nice thing is for play. If you're a Notre Dame player, you're used to big games on the road under the lights. There's nothing, there's nothing new about any of that, and you usually at least can balance out a home field advantage in a lot of venues. And I think that would be one where I think Notre Dame will have a pretty good showing from a crowd standpoint. You're not going to get that at a Clemson or anything on an on-campus site, but playing in Heinz Field in downtown Pittsburgh, I think Notre Dame fans will be able to gobble up plenty of tickets, so that might help a little bit. But certainly Pittsburgh will be primed and ready. I mean, they're going to, if Pittsburgh wins again this week, and I don't have in front of me who they're playing, but they're going to want to make their case. Hey, we're a one-loss team.
Yeah.
Do we get invited to the party? What makes Notre Dame so special where they're ranked up here and we're not? So that'll be a huge game for Pitt, especially if they win this week. And I believe they have a tough game. Dang it. I wish I would have wrote it down, guys. I just don't have it in front of me. But certainly, like I said, I think that's the one to watch as far as leading up to Stanford. And then Stanford will be the all-or-nothing game. When you think about it, guys, with 5 power conferences, when we're talking about Notre Dame playoff hopes, your 5 power conferences. So for an independent Notre Dame team to get in, you'd obviously have to find a way to get 2 of those Power 5 conferences out of the equation.
Right.
Notre Dame can handle one of them with Stanford. The rest of it's a little bit of guesswork for sure. Perhaps Ole Miss could find a way to win the SEC. Not out of the question. They hold a tiebreaker over Alabama with that win. They play Texas A&M this weekend. If they could get that and win out, they'd still have to beat LSU. Perhaps a 2-loss Ole Miss team could win the SEC and keep that league out of contention. Doubtful, obviously. You as a Notre Dame fan, you really wish that Michigan could have handled that snap on that punt, because if you could have knocked Michigan State out of the undefeated ranks, that really would have opened up some doors for Notre Dame. And since it didn't happen, now you sort of look at, can you do some sort of round robin where Ohio State beats Michigan State and Michigan beats Ohio State, that type of thing. A long way to go, so it's a little bit hard to start speculating now, but it sure is a hell of a lot of fun to do it anyways.
Oh, absolutely. And, I don't know about the Ole Miss thing because, man, stranger things have happened in the SEC. That's always one of those weird conferences that as Yogi Berra would have once said, it ain't over till it's over over there.
No,
so.
and when you watch what's going on in that conference, I know it's held in such high regard as the end-all, be-all, but you're watching this conference, these conference teams getting beaten out of conference consistently.
Right.
I just don't think it's the end-all, be-all. But certainly they're going to want to do everything they can to get an SEC team. And if LSU runs the table, they certainly deserve it.
Oh,
but
sure.
I would hate to. I would hate to see anything like an Alabama one-loss Alabama team.
I don't think they deserve it.
But I'd hate to see something like a one-loss Alabama team sneak in as a second entry from that conference. That would be criminal at this point. And I don't think it would happen, given what I saw from the playoff committee last year. I don't think that's reasonable, but a long way to go here for sure. But it's fun to speculate a little bit. And again, I think Notre Dame's schedule at least is shaping up, where at least we can sort of have this conversation where after they lost to Clemson, everybody was coming at me and saying, oh, no way, Notre Dame still has a shot. I told them they were crazier than hell because I just didn't see it happen. And while again, which is going to have to happen in front of them.
Yeah, I remember we had that conversation.
Don't forget conference championships too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think at least you can kind of consider it at this point. Still very much a long shot though.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, Todd, this is obviously, we're coming down to the nitty-gritty of the Notre Dame football season. This is the week, like this week and next week are the 2 weeks that all the winter sports start up. Obviously, hockey, the NBA, and then we got college basketball is going to be coming up. So, what is on Todd Burlage's plate as far as winter sports? Where does your attention kind of start to waver to when Notre Dame football is wrapped up?
Well, obviously, there's going to be high expectations for the Notre Dame women, as always, but I'm so curious to see what the Notre Dame men do as far as basketball. This was obviously a team that, raised the bar last year finally with a trip to the Final Eight and really gave Kentucky a run for the Final Four. Obviously, the ACC championship, tournament championship. But I think the expectations need to be high. I don't think that just because you do it once, now you can say, well, that was fun and whatnot. And I think this team is talented enough. I think Mike Bray's turned the corner where his recruiting is such and his returning starters is such that I don't know why you can't expect big things again. We talk about Steve Astoria, and of course you have to start with Demetrius Jackson. This guy's a legitimate first-round NBA draft pick who really hit his stride through the tournaments. Everybody was talking about Jaren Grant and Pat Connaughton and whatnot through those tournaments, and rightfully so. But to be honest with you, the most consistent and steadiest performer through all of the postseason was Demetrius Jackson. He was fabulous. So he's going to come back with a lot of confidence. Zach August is going to he's a legitimate potential first-round NBA draft pick as well. Some great recruits coming in. I think this team could be really, really solid. I do, and I'm looking forward to seeing, can Mike Brey turn the page with the target on his back a little bit and respond. Mike Brey's always done well when nothing is expected of his group. I think a little more is going to be expected this year, and not a whole lot. I think they'll still get dismissed a little bit in the ACC, but can they continue this run? And that's going to be what I really turn my attention to. And frankly, I'm a college basketball junkie, and I can't wait.
Oh, man.
Well, we'll have some good conversations then.
Oh, yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't wait either, and I definitely can't wait to have you on to talk about it, Todd. So
it'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, I can't believe it's here already, huh, guys?
That'd be awesome. So, well, go enjoy the rest of your bye week, and we will talk to you next week when it is time to have Notre Dame meet up with Temple.
Absolutely, no rest for the wicked, man. Have a good night, guys.
You too, bud.
Brother.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe that. College basketball, that's going to be another thing that's going to be coming up soon. Got some scrimmages, and then we'll really start getting into it come the first week in November. So.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, man, this is my time of year, dude.
Me too.
I'm a basketball guy, dude.
Football, hockey. Oh my gosh.
And Detterman's starting to get me on the hockey, and I'm like, I like hockey.
It's a clincher.
I do like it. I don't like it to the point to where I'm gonna, go crazy over it. But you know what? Hey, I've got a lot of sports on my plate already.
And I'll get to prove to you that for me, there always is life after NASCAR once the season is over. And that is the case because I tell you what, come bowl season for college football, oh my gosh, I am glued to those playoff rankings. Who's in, who's out, bowl projections. I mean, even though the regular bowls, like the New Year's Six, they don't really mean as much. It's like meat and potatoes. It's still fun because some of those bowls are really entertaining. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I don't mind bowl games. I mean, like towards the very first bowl games. If you're playing a bowl game in November, though, to me, it's like,
But who can forget the Independence Bowl in 2001 in the blizzard? I mean, this is Louisiana, mind you, but they were playing this game in a blizzard. I was so jealous. I wish I could have been out there. But,
you want to be out there in a blizzard?
Oh, in a heartbeat playing football? I mean, that's the way that it should be. But
but if you're not playing, it's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Big difference. I don't know. To me, that I don't know. If I'm out watching it, I don't want to be watching it.
Nah, I'd rather be playing it, man.
I'll pass. Anyhow, that's gonna do it for us, man. It has been a good week. Josh, thanks for sitting in, brother.
Hey, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
And of course, thanks again to Todd Burlage. And we will see you next week. Of course, if you missed any of the show, check it out on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeartRadio.com. Check us out there, or on Spreaker. Like the show on Facebook. Just search Facebook for The Cheap Seats with Steve. For Josh Briggs, this is Steve Willis. We will see you next week. Be good.
See ya.
Remove. Soil tested and block approved. Really a good dude. But he can get true. From the school of harbor rocks and lifesavers up in his socks. Sprinting and running from the cops. The cherries, the cyrus, the Popo Penelope one time. The alphabet boys, the letters. The sophisticated dog training tactics. The chef. In order to do some right,
guys, it's the bartender for Rock Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Mishawaka, Indiana.